You must be.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Glasses podcast. I am Boater.
I'm Dave Man.
Oh, wait, we gotta turn that on as well. Guys, like spring is here. I'm sitting at the sink in my kitchen, like doing dishes, and I'm looking out the back, and it's like there's green grass out there. It was a sunny day today. Like yesterday, it rained, and it's like it's really hard when you're in quarantine to mark the passage of time, right? Like to me, the days blend together. Dave, I know that you are still fortunate enough to be out of the apartment for your day job, but for me, the time blends together, and it's a little hard to mark the passage of time. But like out there, it's spring, and the animals are back. There's like bugs and everything like that. There's fruit flies, and I killed my first mosquito a couple days ago. And like the foxes in the backyard, and it just reminded me of the old adage, and that is that time flies like an arrow, and fruit flies like that shit in my sink. Waiting for it.
I think truly this one was too much setup.
Too bad. Too bad. I don't care. At least it
Speaking of
wasn't an
things,
inside joke.
speaking of things that are blowing up in people's faces,
Oh
it's not
wow.
an
Oh, we're
inside
going
joke.
straight into it, aren't we?
It's not an inside joke if you do 4 streams during a network for it. Google Stadia Pro goes free for 2 months, and yet 0 people are still using it, and they
Yeah.
should.
Yeah, like hold on, the Stadia's a thing, really?
Yes, Stadia went live. Google is still expecting that people are going to spend upwards of $60 to $70 for Assassin's Creed Revelations, I believe.
Of all the
Um,
Assassin's Creeds, I mean, it's not the
and
worst one, but it's like the least necessary of the main series ones.
but for those of you curious about Google Stadia, stop that because it is an idea that would meet better if it wasn't a company that doesn't have their own software. Google expects that you, as the purchaser, are going to buy a game and then not get a copy of it. You're going to get access digitally to it from an offsite server, which means that in 6 to 8 months, when Google does what they do, which is wash their hands of the current unprofitable projects, which is smart, you'll lose those games.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
there's
just
nothing. Maybe they'll
straight
cut
up,
you
they're
a
not
refund.
gonna like ship you a disc. They're not gonna give you a credit to get that game on the Switch store or on Steam or anything like that. I mean, like, you gotta know this going in, because I mean, to some extent, there's not a whole lot that's different from there as far as where your money's going than downloading something digitally on Xbox Live Arcade or PlayStation Network or on the Switch store or on Steam. Eventually, sometimes these games are taken off of their service, and if the service itself goes down, sorry. But with Stadia, it's just so much more marked that you're not even playing the game on your machine. It's just a weird little level of disconnect.
It's not based for upstate New York internet.
Um, I'd have to check. I know that at one point, last year, Spectrum was more or less forced to increase what it considered broadband.
They
Not
were
saying.
forced they were forced to actually present the service that they were selling people. There's a
Mhm.
difference.
Well, there's also I know that I went for paying extra for 30 down 10 up to getting 100 by 10 for like the base thing, and that might just be that they've been doing that. That's not to say that that's statewide. I'm fortunate to live in an area that has, population, which the same can't be said for half of the geographical area of the state.
Yep.
um but yeah, uh we'll see. I mean, like, ultimately, uh depending on how it goes for lag, I mean, you can watch a YouTube video in high def and, it plays nice and smoothly. And the controls being sent back aren't going to be a whole lot of bandwidth. All it is that they need to get it's not the point to the end user that is the weak part of Stadia. It's all the steps in between for
Yep.
a lag-free gameplay experience.
The interface itself, because I watched video of it. It's fine. It's a Google product, so it's intuitive. It works for
Oh,
the
I'm
customer,
sure. Absolutely.
but it's just an idea. and it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes. My guess is by this time next year, we'll be able to bury the Google Stadia right next to the Ouya. Um,
Yeah, bury it up on your shelf up there, up that
oh
way.
yes, yes. I'll just have to actually shell out the cashish and buy some. Um,
Along with the Steam controllers and
oh god, yeah. I'm not buying a Steam controller.
good because a lot of people do still like the Steam controllers, and people started to hoard them when they announced that they were gonna get discontinued. So
Your local Walmart probably has one or two of them.
not by
Uh,
now. I mean, like this was a couple years ago.
Wilton Walmart had like one the other day.
A Steam controller? I
Yes.
must be thinking something else then. That's ridiculous. Yeah, so a couple weeks ago we mentioned, the past couple weeks we've mentioned ways that previous sporting venues and events are able to try to make use of the new normal with everything going online. And among other things was that NASCAR drivers would be streaming and racing on stream and more directly able to connect with their fans. The thing is that they aren't the kind of people who would have streamed before, so they don't always know what's a hot mic and what's always going out. And then even if they know, oh yeah, yeah, people are able to hear that, they may not have the discipline to be able to say, maybe I shouldn't say this because everyone listening in can hear me drop the N word live on stream. But that's exactly what happened to NASCAR racer Kyle Larson. Um, and let's see, that was an event in iRacing, Monza Madness. I think just last night. Uh, let's see. You can't hear me, he said. Hey, N word. And then after a couple beats of silence, someone else was like, dude, everyone can hear you. Yeah, yeah, guy, that happened. And so he's been suspended indefinitely from streaming. Uh, and
Oh, and suspended without pay.
okay.
NASCAR is absolutely not having any bit of that.
What,
Especially
NASCAR
not
isn't
from
going to have any bit of casual racism?
now. Now, Boater, push up your glasses a little higher up your superior complex there. But um, NASCAR has to deal with the fact, and all of the sponsors and things like that are absolutely not going to put up with it,
Yeah.
because there's a certain amount of, you're getting paid to do this, you stupid piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's that like, hey, you need to do what is right by us. Also, we're on this other platform that we're able to do a whole lot with. And if you mess things up for us on that platform, it's going to be a lot more than a slap on the wrist.
mm,
So they need to show, what was this? Was this on Twitch?
yes,
So
yes, it
they
is.
need to show Twitch that they take it seriously. Otherwise, Twitch may suspend them from being able to do their programs on it.
And again, NASCAR is a sport that knows that it's an easy target for people, and they are absolutely not going to let something like that grab all of the attention and go unanswered. Unlike your NFLs, MLBs,
Yes,
NBAs, where this happens a lot more often than you would see in the news media.
my cheap joke illustrates that like NASCAR is ripe for that kind of thing, and their PR works overtime to try to get rid of some of that image. NASCAR's worst enemy is its fans, but aside from that, uh,
Yes.
I could have just left it there, honestly. But their PR department works overtime to try to have a decently sanitized appearance, to the point where where car blogs that I follow complain about how they've sucked all the soul out of actual racing, but that's another matter entirely.
It's it's a matter of, just like a lot of these other big sports, you got to figure out how to keep up with the NFL. It's tough. And so I respect the fact that the racing teams immediately responded, as of 3 o'clock today, suspended indefinitely without pay.
Yep.
And they're going to potentially maybe not even continue to contract the person.
Yeah.
Just like we've talked about previous streamers or web personalities, things like that, you're getting handed money by other people.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Like,
like come on. I can I get another cheap joke in? This one at NFL's expense.
sure.
Cool. You said that these other sports businesses need to keep up with the NFL, and for
Hmm.
NASCAR that means how can we get our drivers concussions without killing them, and then you're fine.
Oh. They've done a very good job, unlike the NFL, of actually keeping the drivers safer,
Yes, absolutely,
increasing things like that.
absolutely.
Um, Speaking of crisis averted and crash television, Boater, last week I talked about the fact that Dana White, the president of UFC, was going to purchase an island, bring medical staff
Right,
there, bring the
right.
fighters. Unfortunately, Fight Island is on hold because
Oh, hold on,
the
everybody in
pinnacle,
chat. Oh,
the pinnacle, the tippity top, the biggest cheese. That's right. The mouse himself, Disney, called Dana White personally to say, "Don't do that. Just hold on." All right. Dana White, a CEO who has not taken the word no as an answer for about 2 decades of his life, um, got got a call directly from the directors board of Disney, who own subsidiaries that own him. Um,
yes, yeah. So
and
there's an ownership chain there.
So he had to immediately pump the brakes. The question is, did Dana White, in his typical fashion, give them a good old F bomb and a finger on the video on the conversation, or is it so terrifying to know that the billionaires are looking at you directly at you? He has gone on record previous to this cancellation to say that if by tomorrow, let's just say tonight, he gets the green light,
Uh.
tomorrow it'll be open. He'll have fights going on. It'll be on
Yeah.
pay per view. It'll be go. Dana White had that like lock, stock, and barrel, and 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 to be honest, I will not lie to you. It sounded like a good card. It was people that have experience. It was fighters that kind of have a beef, so there's a story. And right now, Mickey Mouse just kind of went and went. I don't think so, there, pal. Um,
Well, it's like there's kind of this there was a quote, I think it was after 9/11, that it's when Disney World reopened, we all knew it was going to be okay. And so I imagine the mouse basically going and being like, "No, you don't get to open till we get to open. You stop that."
Exactly. Speaking of companies doing a little bit of PR crisis aversion, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby
Oh
Kotick,
no.
you recognize the name, um, that
Bobby
smiley
Kotick, this is
bastard.
going to be fun. Well,
He
first off, you
has,
said Activision Blizzard. I'm like, "Oh no." And then he said Bobby Kotick and I'm just like, I can't wait for this.
yep, he did something that I would actually dare say might be a humanizing move on his part. He did something similar to what one of my employers did. He's during the crisis times and things like that, and I will tie back into the story, but it's a little bit of a personal thing. People were starting to be mouthy. People were starting to be uncomfortable, and instead of dealing with it like adults or attempting to convey their frustrations or problems in a productive way, they just kept making snipey comments. They were going around buildings telling everyone that it's vacation time, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so my boss's boss sent out a general email to everyone that said, "Here is my cell phone number. If you have a question, if you have a problem, I'm right here."
Nice.
Bobby Kotick did the exact same thing. He gave 10,000 employees his personal cell phone number because in these hard times and things like that, it seems like from a this is what the intention of it is. He's doing seemingly the right thing and reaching out to his employees and letting them reach out to him. On a PR move, this is a great idea because now the employees won't be going to Kotaku, games journalism, this and that and the other, and complaining about it. They can
Mhm.
directly message Kotick and say, like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Numbers subject to change, and I'm like, okay, did they give out his personal cell phone number or like a burner phone?
it would be interesting if it was a burner phone, but I have a suspicion because he reported it directly as
I mean, I'm
Uh,
sure he has a few different cell phones to start with.
well, a
Um,
CEO, I would hope
yeah.
so.
And then, I mean, if you give 10,000 people your phone number, you've given the world your phone number. So,
Yep. Um, there was one other bloodbathy thing that I had, and
bloodbathy. Oh boy.
you know what? Actually, we'll change the tone. Stop me if you've heard this one. I chime in with a haven't you people ever heard of closing the goddamn door? Because if you've played Final Fantasy VII, you'll realize that Cloud Strife can't. Just can't.
I mean, like a lot of times in games, someone walks through a door and then it just like auto closes behind them or whatever happens. Um, I do. I mean, like we've been ripping through a few of these news things pretty fast, and I do want to slow down and actually talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VII.
Well, yes, that's why I brought it
Because
over to Final Fantasy VII. You're
yeah,
welcome.
absolutely. So I on Friday, I took a drive down to Albany where we had a pre-order of the remake in, and I picked that up, and I also stopped and got myself some Arby's and cheesecake along the way because if you're gonna do an hour drive,
Nice.
may as well make it worth it.
Exactly.
And then I promptly got a head cold over the weekend. So aside from editing like one video, I spent most of it upstairs watching Steph play the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Nice.
Um, and Steph, how many hours have you put into that about now? I think we're at like 28 or so since it came out on Friday. Let us know in chat if you just yawned. I'm still trying not to. Hold on. Nope.
Unfortunately, Boder and I were supposed to stream Final Fantasy VII. We deployed the requisition team. They got in the helicopter. They flew around Queensbury and the general area, and unfortunately, just our boys came home, but they were unable to bring home the copy of the game.
Yep.
Demon
And
Dragon in
so
chat saying, I think 25.
25, yeah, 25, 26 hours. And
Nice.
it's really like I'm really enjoying watching her play it.
Nice.
I don't have any Final Fantasy VII nostalgia, so I'm not directly comparing it to the original. But as I've been playing 15, seeing her now playing 7, I can see like what parts I like about this system, what parts are different, and comparing like the actual mechanics like that, and getting a lot out of the story. The most that I know of these characters is from Advent Children, which came out like 13 or 14 years ago. If you go back and watch it, it's kind of painful to watch because it's like the CG is middling to good by today's standards, and like the story is very clearly not that cohesive as a movie and is just doing some fan service beats to string together cool stuff to happen afterward. Like as movie craft goes, it's not that great in retrospect. But that's where I knew all the characters from, and so like, oh hey, here's, at the start of this game, here's how these two know each other. These two don't get along at all. And the whole time, it's stunningly gorgeous. It is enormous. It's a large open world. And again, this is just in Midgar, which is like the first third of Final Fantasy VII of the original is in Midgar, and you spend maybe 8 hours there, and she spent 25 hours there so far. She's on track for 30 or more uh, in just Midgar, which is what this first part of the remake is going to do. There's been some discussion as to, well, they should have done the full game, but no, I think 100% she's getting that the $60 worth or however much the deluxe edition cost out of it. It's a fully realized game. At no point does it feel like that there's been filler in between the important story beats, even though they are filling in so much more detail and character that wasn't in the original.
I've been watching a lot of other people stream it as well, and I was really excited to see the fact that Square Enix once again delivers an episodic experience, but doesn't make you feel like it's an episodic game per se.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that I think it's a little disingenuous that they just call it remake without any sort of like episode or part number. Um, so they'll have to name the next one Part Two, and then this one is retroactively Part One or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the amount that's gone into it, like I I don't get the sense that she's going towards a finale. I only kind of know that because I know that this game ends when Midgar is no longer like when you're able to leave Midgar, this game ends. Like narratively, I'm not getting a sense that she's getting towards a big bad, but things are like ramping up
Yeah.
at the same time that she's able to stop and be like, you know what, I'm gonna do a whole bunch of side quests right now before going into this final area. Um, so like narratively, it has that first act of a trilogy, and we'll probably look out here and see a whole bunch of possibilities as well as a whole bunch of bad stuff about to happen. Wait for part two coming out in 3 more years.
It'll be worth it. It will be worth it because as someone that had to wait years for the Hitman game um, to come together, uh, so worth every single installment. And even in the case of Hitman, it was just a single map and like a
Yeah,
single mission. Mwah. So Square Enix, thank you for proving the thoughts and prayers correct.
yeah. It's someone in my Facebook feed that hadn't played it was like, "Oh, I refuse to give them money because they're just padding it out like The Hobbit," and it's like, no, they are getting all that work, all the proper writing that needs to be done to make it all that would be needed for a full game, as opposed to being Peter Jackson surrounding yourself with people who are not able to tell you, no, that's a stupid idea. Just make it one movie.
Yep. What's this book? It's called The Silmarillion. No, Peter.
No, just
God damn it.
and yet Netflix would be like, "Fine, make an 8 episode series. Just do your thing here."
Boater. Boater.
Dave,
Do you have anything else for Final Fantasy VII?
I don't. Go ahead.
Because you have unlocked mystery content by mentioning Netflix.
Da 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 da.
Bonus Jonas, if you have heard me on stream in the last 2 days, you have heard me mention the words McMillions. Now I want you to go ahead and write that down. McMillions. It's on Hulu. It was an HBO series. It is literally the most American thing you will ever watch. It's got a cowboy. It's got the mafia. It's got subterfuge. It's got white collar crimes, and it's all under the auspice of McDonald's.
Oh my god.
It's a 6-part, hour-long series. It's the best. Claire and I sat down Sunday for Easter dinner together, and we started watching it. And 4 hours later, we were like, "Tomorrow we will finish it." But we did not expect to get so enveloped in it. Tiger King, take a back seat with your shit folks and come watch some of the most charismatic FBI personalities and things like that get to discuss a case at length. It's so good, Boater. It's so good.
Sorry, just queuing up America for you here.
Um, Speaking of American things, Call of Duty Warzone has blown up and people are freaking out about it and everyone's playing. I even
Yep,
got you to
yep.
play, which again, Boater, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
me for
yeah.
Sunday. It was a lot of fun to have you. A streamer
No.
by the name of Noel Miller got on in green fatigues, being in character for Call of Duty, things like that. But sitting in front of him was a very interesting peripheral. It was a steering wheel. And he played Call of Duty Warzone using a steering wheel apparatus.
Oh my gosh.
He
Okay.
was, of course, immediately killed because
Yeah.
there's not the controls don't mesh. You can turn, you can kind of move, but it's not very good.
Yeah, yeah.
But he managed to kill someone in the gulag. And to effectively steal from my Wednesday brethren, the Dream Team, showers maketh men. And in that case, the steering wheel truly, truly did
It
earn its
steered him
stripes.
true. Oh god.
It was so
Yes,
good.
this is a Corsair Void RGB wireless headset. Thank you, Rayful, for dropping that in. Fatboy with the chain was asking what my headset is. It is wireless, but at the moment I have it plugged in and charging. Hold on, let me see. That's green. It's charged.
The good news is this, speaking of peripherals and steering wheels playing Call of Duty, leads us smack dab and straight into the Nerd Glasses question of the week.
Which
Um,
is, what is the oddest purchase or the most superfluous purchase that you have made? And this can be either a physical peripheral, or it can be something that you purchased in game because you had that wads of in-game moolah, and you could do that. So while you think of answers, and before we go to the ones that have already been submitted to us on Discord, I will answer the question about the headset, and then I actually have something related as far as playing something oddly, before we come back to peripherals. Um, I really enjoy this headset. The microphone isn't quite as good as an actual wired microphone would be because of limited radio bandwidth, and the mic is a little on the quiet side. But the sound is fantastic, and I find this to be a very comfortable headset to wear. Someone needs to play it on a DDR pad now. There's a yellow version with a special charging dock. I have a wireless white version. There's a wired black version. Yeah, I have a wired black Corsair headset around here somewhere as well. Um, I saw someone, uh, Dave. Last week we were going to mention odd ways of people doing things with Animal Crossing. I saw someone playing Animal Crossing on a Nintendo Switch with a PS4 controller. Well, at the same time, that same PS4 controller was connected to a PC playing Doom Eternal. They played both games at once with the same controller, and it was amazing. At one point, he purportedly had, quote, rewired his brain so something was on fire in front of him in Doom Eternal, and he took out his watering can in Animal Crossing to put it out. And he said, "What am I doing with my life?"
Anything to pass the time these days, you know?
Let's see. This microphone, yes, you can flip up to mute or down to unmute. Yeah, this one has like if I do this, it is still unmuted. But now I am unmuted, so there we go. Um, and Dave, what is your headset? Fat Boy with a Chain is in the market.
He already knows what mine is. That's why he's not
Okay.
asking about it.
Cool. Okay, so let's before I get too distracted by neat things with Animal Crossing, because there's a few more of those. Let's go back to this question of the week. And I will start off. Rafe Wolf here actually. And Rafe, you're welcome to drop in links if you wish, but more or less, she dropped a lot of money in game in WoW with excuse me, Soda burp coming back up. Try not to get that one to you guys. She dropped a lot of money in WoW for like mounts and stuff like that, and it's like wow. Sorry, I'm browsing through the pictures right now because I didn't realize this had been posted ahead of time. So like a lot of in-game stuff there, but eventually you get to the point where like you have money in the game. What are you gonna do with it? Absolutely nothing. So I may as well buy a Brachiosaurus for a mount.
Nothing makes a little bit of monotony of running through a countryside that you have already gone through a lot of times by doing so on a dinosaur.
Blop. Thank you for that link, Jen. What else did we get for answers, Dave?
I'm gonna drop a link to the Discord, by the way, because people can
Yes, by all means.
also definitely answer and find the questions of the week there every week.
Yep, this
Um,
is for Dave's streaming channel DAM314, the weekend Wednesday, etc. But we do have discussion from Nerd Glasses on there as well as posting our questions. So by all means, feel free to join that Discord and join in.
um, Anti-Klaus Prime, a fellow Twitch streamer and a friendo, Garnted Cult member, um, talked about the Sniper Elite package for the Wii. And it's just like you would think other Wii guns. It's about this big, but it is a like scaled down model version of an actual sniper rifle. No
Yep.
orange caps on any part of the guns or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um, a bad idea. A really, really bad idea.
Yeah, that's
Um,
it's a thing. That's definitely a thing. That deserves a little bit of a yikes, I think.
him
Uh,
and Steve went off on a tangent talking about that in chat. And
And then there was another Wii one that I forgot this existed. There was a Nerf N Strike game for the Wii that came with a bundled blaster that like you can plug your Wiimote into the top and it's able to be used as a gun for the Wii, but it also has the mechanism for firing a couple of darts. Uh, that's ingenious. That's so much better than like some of the early gun controllers that came for the Wii. It's like, hey, this I can actually use as something.
g- I I've realizing in asking that question that I had to make sure that I provided some ridiculous stuff, and I realized that in my gaming career, there's been a lot of things that I've purchased and things like that, and firstly is one that I added to my collection recently, but it is the Hyperkin Duke for the Xbox One.
Oh, I wanted one of those. I forgot about those. I love the Duke controller.
It is just as fun as as you think it should
Oh
be.
my gosh.
Um, it's enormous. It does not work for the one game I purchased to play it on, which
Really?
was Overwatch.
Eh?
Because this controller didn't originally have
Yeah, it didn't have
bumpers
shoulder
and
buttons
an
before, so.
Overwatch, so it's a little bit big, but it's a lot of fun to play, and it confuses people at insane games when I'm using it behind the counter. The thing I really like about this one is when it's on and you press the button, it does the Xbox startup
Ah,
um, with the
is that
liquid
still
metal.
is that still a thing that I could get?
Yes, you can get it at any. Um, oh well, I mean, all those big box stores are closed, so fuck them. But you can get it online.
Right, right.
But
Oh,
uh,
I would probably get it
the
in like the classic black, just 'cause. But like the translucent green is a nice kind of special throwback there as well.
the peripheral though that I purchased many many years ago and never regretted doing so was this baby.
Yeah.
This is a GunCon 2. It allowed me to play all of the Time Crisis games on PlayStation 2 on my tube television at home. Um, and it was by far some of the most fun I have had with a video game. It was absurd because they didn't fortunately come with a stomp pedal, but there's a load gun, two side buttons, the D-pad, two buttons on the front of the barrel. These still work, by the way. I was testing it out the other day. Um, but some of the most fun I've had with peripherals and things like that, and it's just going to show that like gaming and life, just have fun with it. Don't
Yeah.
don't
I
sweat it too much.
I will say like continually enjoyed the variety of gun controllers that there were in the stores that I've worked in. Like there were some that were better as like a shotgun kind of thing that actual had like a rack action to it.
Yeah.
There was one I think that was a more assault rifle type that had like a clip that would just pop out like a couple inches and you could pop back in, or a magazine, and just things like that. Put a hand near your webcam because its autofocus went crazy, like when you did
Uh,
something. So, boom, and now pull it away, and it should focus. Nope, but it's brighter again. Well, it'll figure itself out eventually. For me, for peripherals, I don't have anything too absolutely crazy. I have a steering wheel that I used for American Truck Simulator, and I have the uh, HOTAS setup that I used for Elite Dangerous. Neither of those games have I really played in the past year and a half. So, yeah, I would need to really clear things off for that. And like I don't have any funky like editing type things. I would say probably actually the thing that I've spent money on for my computer for any gaming setup that was the most ridiculous is in fact my soundbar for my PC, because I could just have regular speakers, or I have a USB soundbar that has like rainbow light up, and it's really nice, it's really slick, and it's really unnecessary when there are speakers that I could have gotten for like half the price. So yeah, I'll go with that. It's the Sound Blaster Katana X soundbar.
hey,
It gets
it's
my seal of
fun.
approval.
Exactly. Which is good because God knows with especially consumer electronics.
Yeah. I accidentally spilled milk on it one time, and aside from it being like a little bit in the front speaker grill, it works just fine. So I didn't have to cry over the spilled milk.
While people do spill they do get Cheetos on their hands, and while we do, as people live and learn and drop things, Nintendo asks in another topic that you stop using alcohol to clean your Joy-Cons. You're
I
ruining the
s-
colors on it.
hmm, I saw that. Um, First off, that seems odd to me because I feel like using rubbing alcohol to clean consumer electronics is kind of the standard, and the fact that they wouldn't be ready for that, I don't understand.
It I think it's Nintendo kind of tipping their hand to, hey, by the way, if you dig really hard over here, you're going to find things you don't like about the Switch. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. That's
the
it's
especially with the most recent release of the Animal Crossing controller, which has very light pastel colors on it.
yeah.
Um, so I'd be very interested to see if we could ever get our hands on one. If we just took rubbing alcohol and like really gave it, would it come off the Joy Cons?
So you know what we
Insane
should
Games TV, get us a Switch so we can do that.
you know what we should do is get like a green controller and try to use rubbing alcohol to to remove in like a camouflage pattern. My
Customizing your
left Joy-Con
controls.
stick still keeps drifting upward. I was very sad. I realized recently that my main Xbox 360 controller, the right stick, has a very slight rightward drift on it. For the most part, it's within dead zones of things, but like Warzone, when you're looking at the map, there's no dead zone for your cursor, so it just kind of.
Yep. My Star Wars PS4 controller, my pride and joy, and the only time I have ever threatened to write a nasty email to corporate about something to get my hands on this. Um, Unfortunately, the right stick is actually, now that I'm looking at it, at a funny angle, so
Yeah.
it's gonna stay here on Master Chief's hands on the mantle, but nary be used to play
Yeah,
probably again.
I had some Xbox 360 controllers made by Razer that I loved the feel of, but they were just so poorly made. Like the trigger would stop working, the
Oh
thumbstick
no.
would not center correctly. It just got really bad. And we bought three of them, and got like two different replacements within the warranty period. I had to look back there because we got a Dragon Age 2 one and a Mass Effect 3 one,
Yeah.
and they like, oh yeah, sure, show us a picture of the cord being cut and we'll send you the replacement. So like there's a replacement Dragon Age 2 one that was around here, which I was actually going to use when I first started doing 360 games right here at Insane Games TV. And I plugged it in and immediately like the A button wasn't working. I was like, crap, do you guys have a controller I can use? Boater, have you ever played TKO from Jackbox Games? That one doesn't sound familiar. I may have played it. Dave, you're a little more familiar with the Jackbox
It's
set.
an earlier on the Jackbox sets because now we're up to six and they're announcing seven
Yeah.
soon. It was in like two or three. I think it was actually two. It's where you make T-shirt designs
Yes.
and using a mobile device or whatever you're playing on. So of course, for the first couple years, it didn't really work very well. And you would compete
Yes, I
tournament
do.
style.
I do remember playing it. Rafe sent me a just dropped this link in photo. That is, it was the best of times. No, it wasn't, with a Razer mouse, as I think something that won.
That's hilarious.
Um,
Um,
let's see. CJ says I burned through two of my PS4 controllers that just stopped inputting. The only one still working is the one that came with the console. When we got our PS4 originally, we got a PS1 anniversary one or something. So it's like it has the original PS1 gray and everything like that. And we were using that, and that works just fine. Then when we got the 500 million edition PS4 with like the translucent blue, we switched to just using
yeah.
that controller. So that is working as well.
Just to think, there was a future where Dan purchased one of those PlayStations, and then the store would have had a PlayStation 4.
Yep, would have had a PlayStation 4 that you would have been playing you wouldn't have lost your Spider-Man save, wouldn't have lost the control save. Rest in peace.
Wouldn't have lost Resident Evil 2
Nope.
like over 12 hours of
And
a bunch
like
of other
Dan
games.
wanted to like talk about it on like talk about how hard it was to get the thing on behind the counter, and then I was like, no, I was totally able to find one. It took a while, and I wanted to talk about the adventure of going through and finding it, and he was just like, oh well, maybe some other time we'll talk about it. Never ended up happening.
I mean, he Dan did try very hard to get his
Hmm.
hands on one, and all
I
the
mean, I had
services
I
kind of
had
gave him the runaround.
I had an app that sent me notifications whenever anything said that they restocked. And I got a notification that said that Best Buy restocked. I still had one in my cart from the last time that they had restocked, that I just hadn't been able to complete it, and just completed that really quick. The gray controller doesn't work on the special edition PS4. I did not realize that. That's really weird. Okay, well, I guess we count
That's
that then as.
that's so incredibly funny that the
I guess
that
we
the
count that as a not properly working controller then.
one anniversary edition console won't talk to the other anniversary edition console. Um, oh man, and you should see the amount of place Xbox One controllers we blew through in the store from just usage, like
Yeah.
just flatly. Um, speaking of getting mileage out of your controllers, Boater, Nintendo recently released a firmware update. Great idea, really excited. It
But.
finally allows you
Oh, and.
to remap the Joy-Con controls.
I saw that, and that's actually really cool, like for consoles, because normally that's just left up to the software as to whether you can do any remapping.
Yep.
So is that something that people are really asking for to be able to remap? Oh my God, I could totally set A, B, X, Y to how I'm used to them on the Xbox.
Yep.
Okay, so today I sat down to record some Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for YouTube, and I ended up deciding this isn't going to work for YouTube. It's the kind of game that's better for a stream than a Let's Play. Ask me about it on the Citadel afterwards if you're really interested. But like at least half of the time, I was like, nope, that's not A. Nope, that's not B. That's not X, and so forth. And it's
Yep.
so that is 100% what I would use it for. I would remap A B X Y.
I the other thing I'm kind of excited for is the idea of accessibility because the Joy-Cons themselves are pretty accessible to someone who might have a little bit of motor control issues. The Switch itself does lend to ease of access, and now that someone could potentially simplify down the controls on the Joy-Con or the controls on the Pro controller so that someone who may not necessarily have 10 fingers or usage of same um, is exciting. I always really
Yes.
like to see that. I still would really like to get my hands on an Xbox One adaptive controller
Oh
because I would
yeah.
love to make up some stuff with that. Um, but to me that's really exciting. It's really cool that Nintendo of all companies are allowing you to do that because they're usually not giving of control of things.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, let's see. Among other things that are going to be features, the ESRB is going to be adding a qualification to the labels that you see on the back of the box. If a game has and their quote is includes random items. So already there was includes in-game purchases, so that when parents are buying things for their kids, they know that, oh, it's possible to spend money on something in this game. Now they know that the big difference between buying a cosmetic thing or buying a chance to get what you want, random items. Colloquially, these are what's known as loot boxes, and it's been about 2 years since they were really, or at least a year and a half since they were really a big thing in the news. The ESRB has finally caught up to, uh, that kind of thing. And not to say that loot boxes aren't a big deal anymore, they are still something that rubs people the wrong way, and it is still something that is like I'm is going to be part of the gaming landscape for the foreseeable future. Hey, Aurelius Dragonsbane, how you doing? Um, so since it's going to be a part of that future, the ESRB has finally, kind of come together. They're all sitting at home having to work from home and say, guys, we got to do something. Hey, do you want to finally get around to that loot box thing? Yeah, sure. Let's figure that out. Um, However it came to be, they're doing something about it, and that's only a good thing.
It'll be nice. Unfortunately, when you say the words specifically includes random items, people who barely know how to use the ESRB to rate a game are going to continue to be entirely
Well,
in the dark
no, it's
about it.
it's not going to be any more educational than I mean, like the basics of like violence and sexual themes, language, like
Language,
those are
alcohol use.
self-explanatory. But like in-game purchases, to someone that isn't familiar with the gaming landscape, that's going to be a bit extra conceptual. Um, and adding includes random items in parentheses after that is going to be as well. But again, it's always just ask us. In the
How
game store, ask us about this tag on the back here so that we can help you make sure that it's right for your family.
how funny would it be if somehow, just like trying to get people to quit smoking by making the warning label on the pack just half of the pack, depending on how like prevalent the loot boxes are in the game, they just make that label bigger and the font bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
till just the entirety of the back. NBA 2K21. What the hell? Like, just one big white label. Loot ahoy! Like, I mean, for fuck's sake, in the most recent NBA game, it's literally a slot machine. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not even like a shoebox where you open it up and like items come out. You're welcome, NBA. You can use that one for free.
No, it's
Um,
a prunk, ching, ting, 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 nothing.
oh, that would be so good if they could manage that. Speaking of ESRB, Japan's version of the ESRB, called the Computer Entertainment Rating Organization, unfortunately, because of how they do their ratings, are going to be shutting down for a little while. So if you are based over in the eastern countries, you may not be getting shipments of games for a little while if there was a game set to drop in the next couple of weeks.
Huh.
Because if it doesn't get that label on it, it is not going out for consumer purchase. Um,
Yikes.
it's partially because in the pictures and in the article, it showed that all the members of this board sit and play the game, or play a test version of the game,
Oh,
and
okay.
so they're all in one room. It's a mess, and
Yeah.
yikes. Um, so thank God for the ESRB, because they'll just let stuff fly until 3 months after the game's out and it's already made all its money. Um,
Yeah. Like, and that's the other thing with this is that, like, okay, if someone adds in loot boxes 3 months post launch, they need to like recall all of the boxes and get it reissued with the proper one. Yeah, it's like, oh, Dave, I just lost your video.
I'm seeing if turning it
There
off,
we go.
turning it back on focuses it, and there it is.
Hooray! Well, folks, this has been the Nerd Glasses podcast.
Speaking of, well, folks, it's been a time. Fallout 76, that old horse. We're gonna
Oh, well,
drag it back.
folks, it's been a time.
We're gonna drag
Yikes.
it back one more time because that big expansion, the Wastelanders, where NPCs were gonna get added, dropped today.
Yeah.
And so far, for the 6 people that are still playing it, 4 of them seem pretty happy. They really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
So one of them had a connection issue. One of them doesn't really like it. But there was an issue in the game, which is that by adding NPCs, Boater, in that game, I don't know if you've played any Fallout 76 or seen anything about it, you build your own encampments around the map, and because there was no NPCs, that's not really a problem. But
Yeah.
just like in games today, you can't place items that would like in Animal Crossing, I can't put my house on top of a naturally existing landmark or something else because it would just cause conflicting in the game.
Yeah.
If you are currently living in a place where an NPC is going to be placed, or a house, or a village,
Uh-huh.
you are getting moved.
What? You're getting
And they,
displaced in favor of the NPC.
yep. And
Wow.
they have not informed everyone ahead of time who these people are. You are just going to open up your game, and all of your encampment are going to be in item form as you can in the game, because this wasn't a mechanic previously introduced. So
Yeah.
you could pick up and move your camp, a la
Okay.
StarCraft, where
I
with the
mean, I
Terran.
mean, at least it's not just like, kick you out on the road and yep, it sucks to be you.
But like, think about it. There have been people who have enjoyed this game, and more power to them and bless them. But they're now having to find new places to live
Yeah.
because the expansion that was promised over a year ago now at this point, by the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
um, just come on,
Yeah.
come on, Bethesda, you. um, I am very excited. This was something that dropped on my lap just a minute ago. This was messaged by someone, Boater, and let Steph know about this. If you own a PlayStation, Sony is releasing something for an initiative called. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Breaking news. Like literally he just got
Stay at
handed a sheaf of papers
conventions.
across the news desk.
Oh yes. Hold on. Let me just. I'm getting the report now. PlayStation is releasing a stay-at-home initiative, starting Wednesday at 11 p.m. That's tomorrow, by the way. Um, PlayStation 4 owners can download Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection and the game Journey for free, and it will stay on your console after the promotional period for free.
Oh, I need to get Journey again. I played it once on the PS3 and I need to play it again. So,
I am uber excited tomorrow during the weekend Wednesday. I will be downloading those two games. The window is tomorrow Wednesday the 15th
15th.
at 11 p.m. until May 5th. So you have an
Oh,
ample
plenty
amount
of
of time.
time. Yeah, absolutely.
But get those games. The Uncharted collection, by the way, is 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Um,
Rafe Wolf also excited for Journey. She actually did a cosplay for it that came out really cool.
Nice. The thing I'm really excited about this is the idea of, yes, the Uncharted collection a couple of months ago was free for PlayStation Plus. But if you have PlayStation Plus and you don't have PlayStation Plus, you don't have those games.
Yeah.
These two are absolutely free for you to keep, and it's Journey.
Mhm.
My God, that
Like Uncharted is I started playing it one time and it was fine. It didn't quite grip me. Journey, get it. Do it now. Speaking of free content, not to get off topic, but
no, no,
Wizards of the Coast is releasing free D&D content every day as well, and I did see that too. So, um, like one really good way to be social is to have a D&D or other similar campaign. I literally last night just finished a campaign that went for about 20 months. Um, I
that's
s-
awesome.
I started a campaign this past Friday. Someone else is going to be starting a campaign this upcoming Friday that I'm going to be a player in, and then I'm going to be a player in someone else's campaign that will be starting in another couple weeks. When you can't get together to play, getting together over Skype or Discord or Google Hangouts to be able to see each other and hang out while playing on Roll20 or something like that is just fantastic. As to what Journey is about, eh, it's an experience more than any real story. There is a story to it, but it is a very soothing and immersive gameplay experience that I recommend checking out. Rilla's Dragon's Bane, I know that you have uh, a PS4, so please check it out. Yeah, not a game about stuff. Yeah, it's an arty thing.
It is a game that, if you're looking for something that's like Call of Duty Warzone, you will not like Journey.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
speaking of games that make you go, there's a game coming out called Grounded. I'm not going to go too much into the game itself because, to be honest, for me, it doesn't very much interested me. It looks like someone watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the scene where they're out
Oh
in the
yes,
lawn,
I saw that.
and they were like, "Oh, let's make a game out of that." If I played A Bug's Life on PlayStation 1, I'm good.
Well,
Um,
okay. So I'm trying to think where that would have been. It might have been like at MGM or something like that. I was at some theme park where there was a Honey I Shrunk the Kids like play area.
Universal
That
Studios.
was Universal. Okay, I
Yes.
loved that. That was so cool.
To chin it on you, I went on that exact same ride, and I may or may not have. You know when he duplicates the rats and they
Yeah,
run through the audience and the tail things, I
vaguely.
reached down and broke the thing that swings and hits because I was like, oh cool, like let me see. Nope, it was just a stupid like
Yeah,
fabric tail
tickler
thing.
thing. Yeah.
U- Young Dave uber disappointed that he came up with some sort of fabric handheld thing. But my father then, when the lights came on, looked at me looking very forlorn and holding that thing, and he just goes, "We have to get the hell out of here." And that, along with many other things, is why my family stopped going on vacation. But Obsidian's most recent title that's going to
Oh,
be
that's
coming out,
Obsidian.
Grounded,
Okay.
is going to have a mode if you have arachnophobia, where they're going to just remove the spiders from the game entirely, and they haven't decided yet what they're going to do. They're either going to make it um, like bad clip art, where like the spider itself isn't in detail, but it's the frame of the spider,
Yep.
um, or they're just going to replace it with some sort of other enemy,
You make it
which would be
really
just as funny.
cute.
I personally don't mind spiders, but then again, when you grow up in the woods with wolf spiders, if anyone knows what those are, um,
Oh,
to give you a biology lesson,
they
they're
big.
like they can grow to be about this big,
Yeah.
and then they lay eggs and they keep the eggs on themselves, and then they make chittering noises. By the way,
Yeah.
um, Boder, have you gotten a chance to play Valorant?
I have not.
Okay. I unfortunately, surprise, surprise, in the fact that I'm a big time streamer these days. um,
Nice
but
having
did
a
not get
grand
an
mal, send
invitation.
an ambulance.
Unable to get a way to play it. Not actually all that curious about it, but Riot Games is doing the battle royale model successfully. People are really enjoying it. I have dropped into some streams, things like that. But people are a little bit afraid of that, Boater, because unlike Call of Duty, where they have a team of 5 people um, manually looking and reviewing footage of cheaters
Uh
to
huh.
potentially flush them out, Valorant has a software installed that is an anti-cheat system,
Okay.
and it comes pre in the game. It's live as the game is going on, checking the status of it. People are a little bit nervous though because it has moderator level capabilities.
Okay.
So while the game's going on, if it happens to think that you're doing something wrong, you're gone. Um,
Yikes.
and of
Yeah.
course, anything Riot Games does comes with a lot of scrutiny and a lot of message board messages. But
Yeah. That'll be interesting as it goes. Um, it's
would you would you unfortunately look at the time? It is 8:30. Uh,
I
Death Stranding. We're just gonna have
Death
to push
Stranding
you
has to
off.
wait another day. As we close out, I'm just gonna share a really neat thing that I found in this past week. That's kind of nerdy in a way that's different from our usual nerddom. That I think will be a neat way to close out the day. Um,
Yeah.
this is kind of like a little web toy thing that I found. That
Hmm.
Weather Twitter was passing around. It's called WeatherStar 4000 Plus, and it more or less lets you show your. Uh, it looks like the classic Weather Channel from like 1990, 1992. And just like, hold on, let me. Sorry to cover you for a second, but we'll just go to current conditions. And thank you for watching the Nerd Glasses podcast. Stay tuned for the Citadel. You can put in your own text there. and it just like looks like this classic Weather Channel thing, and it happens to have like this kind of smooth jazz soundtrack on the side of it. We'll
What's
let
it
that
called?
play for a moment. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's soothing.
Voter, what's it called?
It is called WeatherStar 4000 Plus. And it's just like you can put in your zip code, and it will go with whatever the current current conditions, travel advisory, the 3-day forecast. Let's see. We've got the question of what's the temperature for tomorrow, so let's go to the let's see, local forecast. Mostly cloudy tonight, etc. So it's again has this kind of classic Weather Channel look, and it's just really fun to just keep up on a side monitor. I've had fun just letting it stay up there. So
Nice.
yay. That's all I've got. It's like, hey, it's a fun kind of toy to play with and just have up in the background and listen to that smooth jazz soundtrack.
Exactly. Mountain Dew released a new flavor. It's only available at Walmart. Get yours before somebody else does. Um, but Boater, so we're closing up here on Nerd Glasses.
Yep.
2v Tuesdays had a stream,
Yeah,
and
they did. They won. They had a win in Warzone right at the end of the stream. So good job, 2v Tuesdays and Insane Games Live.
hats off to Dan for carrying that team straight through as he does with the Dream Team as well. The silent muscle. Um,
Yes, yes. Dan carried the team.
but what's going on next?
Right after this, on the Citadel is going to be more We Happy Few. I had a really fun time playing this last week. I couldn't help but probably about half an hour in to just start speaking in a bevy of awful British accents, so that will likely be picking right back up as we get into it. Yeah, it's going to be a good time. And that will be right after this. We're going to be offline here on the stream for probably about a minute as I get a couple things rearranged. We'll be on a 10-minute countdown, and then I will see all of you guys on the Citadel. So I hope to see some of you there. But in the meantime, this has been the Nerd Glasses podcast. I've been Boater,
I've been Dave Man.
and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon.